business processes. All right. So this is going to be the agenda that we are going to be seeing for the next 2 or 3 sessions at least, and this is very, very important. So please pay attention, close attention to this, because this is what is going to be the heart of any kind of an implementation. What we have seen so far is only the basics. So we've seen supports, we've seen different types of organizations, cost centers, everything, and then we saw about how the compensation structure is going to look like. The next logical topic that we are going to be seeing is called as business process. So just want to understand, probably those who had worked on HCM or those who haven't worked on HCM, what do you mean by a business process or an event? What do you mean by that in any terms? And if you can give it with an example, well and good. A business process is going to be a chain of actions or events that are going to happen to complete a task. In a nutshell, that's what it is. Say I have a hire. Say it doesn't mean that directly I can hire anybody and everything, buddy, right? If I'm going to hire, say XYZ, say I'm going to hire Aryan in an organization like Google or Facebook, what are the list of events that I need to go through, right? I'm talking about post interview stage and post offer stage, because there could be so many things. I know Aryan has been selected for an organization like Facebook. What are the other events that needs to happen probably post your offer and probably on day one or probably a little beyond day one? So first up, after I get my offer, I need to accept it. Once it is being accepted, the employee ID needs to be generated. There'll be a set of documentations which I need to do. If there is any kind of an expat or a visa related requirements, that needs to be done. And then on day one, I need to complete my onboarding. Post my onboarding, I need to have some kind of an introductory sections with my teams, my managers, plus certain organizations may have what is called as post 90 days, post 60 days, 90 days, or 240 days, something like a probation completion event, all those stuff. So this entire thing, which starts probably from day one or post my offer acceptance, where the employee is going to be created, all of that is called as a business process, or in this particular case, it's called as a hire business process. It's called as a hire business process. Clear on this? So this could be applied for anything of that sort. For example, you apply for a leave. So for example, if Gitika is going to apply for a leave, and if Krishnaveni is the manager, so what happens? Gitika will first apply for say 2 days of casual leave, say on the Monday, on the Tuesday. And once Gitika is going to apply, it's going to go across to her manager, which is Krishnaveni, for approval. And only if Krishnaveni is going to approve it, it is going to be sent across as a notification, say to Nishant, who is going to be an HR. HR is going to be notified that Gitika is going on off for 2 days and the manager has approved. Krishnaveni is the manager, she's approved. This is a simple logic. A notification, like what I said in the first class, is just a mail notification which could possibly go by. All right. So all of this constitutes a manager. And what if the manager is going to reject it? It's going to go back to Gitika with some comments from the manager saying that your manager Krishnaveni has rejected or pushed back the leave, and please make some corrections as per the comments which have been passed by. That's it. Maybe due to project reasons or otherwise, it could have been rejected. That's all. And it's a very, very simple flow. And what I said is very simple. But in a real world, every organization would have a different flavor of their own process for every event. Hire could be different. Your termination could be different. Leave application could be different. Change job could be different. Everything is going to have a different flavor. All right. Now, this is a whatever business process is available over here. I'm just picking up a small business process which is already available. Is my screen visible, or you want me to zoom it further? Is it visible for everybody, or you want me to zoom it further? I can do it. Is this okay, or you want me to zoom it further? All right, let me zoom it one more level. Is it okay now? So if you see over here, we will get to the pseudo part later, but this is just a flow chart of how it is going to be. So first up, I'm just picking a random higher definition. So what I'm seeing over here is a higher simplified business process. Don't ask me now for what exactly that simplified is. I will tell all that a little later. First up, this is going to be initiated by an acrobat HR manager. It just says the name of the person who's going to initiate it. Then there is a compensation hire, proposed compensation hire, which is going to be done by a compensation partner. What this action could possibly mean is the compensation relevant details are going to be entered from the offer to my system level. That is going to be done by my compensation partner. Next, your Workday account needs to be created, which means you can assume it's similar to what your employee ID creation is going to be like. Your employee ID needs to be created, your Workday account needs to be created, all of that needs to be done. And this is going to be done by your organization level security admin. All right, first up, so that is going to be like, and there's going to be a criteria over here which says if the applicant has a Workday account, don't go into this particular Workday owned or something, that is something which we'll see later. If the applicant has a Workday account, there is no necessity for you to create it. So probably that particular person could have been a rehire. If he is a rehire, then there is no necessity for us to create a Workday account or an employee ID to be created. All right, only if the person does not have a Workday account, it needs to be created. All right, so the next thing is what needs to be done next over here is payroll administration. So payroll administrator is going to be assigning a pay group for the employee, saying that this particular person is going to be paid monthly, annually, weekly, bi-weekly, whatever is going to be there. Next, we are going to have a payroll ID created as well. Payroll ID is something which is going to be sent across to your payroll vendor. If you have a payroll vendor, you are going to be assigned to that. Next, it is going to be going across to your onboarding setup. So first up, onboarding setup is something like you're going to be having a conversation with your manager. The manager, you're going to be having a manager assigned, and you're going to have a SPOC assigned for the HR team to complete all your day one related formalities and everything. Once this particular onboarding setup is completed, in Workday terminologies we call onboarding setup as something like who's going to be your manager, who's going to be your SPOC from HR and everybody. That is what is going to be signed and set up over here as a part of onboarding setup. Next thing, on day one, you're going to have your onboarding completed. So onboarding is going to be completed where you're going to submit all your documents, your related benefits related stuff, your dependent information, all that is going to be part of your day one onboarding process. Next, you're going to have a benefits event change, which is typically based on whatever dependent information and other stuff are going to be collected in your onboarding. You are going to have some benefits related stuff done over here, which means you're going to be enrolled for your medical, dental, vision, and other plans which are there at an organization level. Clear on this? This is just a simple one, but in actual practice, it could be very, very, very different based on what your client requirement is. This is just a very simple flow. I'm just explaining for you to understand what a business process could look like. Clear on this? Any questions here? All right, this is just a process flow that I've shown. Now let's get into the real world as to how this could look like in the business process level. Let's go to that business process here. All right, so ignore this error. There are some errors in this particular business process which somebody has created. So there is an error over here. So this is typically how a business process, or the way that we configure, this is called as a business process configuration page. This is typically how this will look like. All right, this is typically how the configuration will also look like. It's not something totally different. It's very, very simple for you to understand as well. And don't get, probably I would say it is very, very easy. Don't feel overwhelmed with it because it's very, very simple, plain stuff. There's not something big. And probably once you get into the implementation of something, you'll see a lot of different business processes which are going to be probably 2 or 3x complex than this. All right, like
So,
I said first. It's a tabular form here. This is where you're going to configure everything. That is just for you to understand, or if you want to explain it to the business, because the business understands the diagrammatic format better. That is why Workday has provided that. And if you want to access it, you just have to go to the business process definitions, related actions, just like what you see in an org chart. You just have to click over here, view diagram, and that view diagram will take you to that particular chart. Because when we explain to the business, we go for that particular chart, because the business may not really understand this tabular format and everything, right? Because this is more for us, with all the nuances around it, the due date, delays, and everything as well. All right. Because the business ideally does not understand this, from my experience, let me tell you. Because for them the chart looks better, because that is how they are maintaining their legacy system as well. Because they may maintain their legacy system in a pen and paper and admin related stuff, or on other systems like Tally and other systems as well, right? So there it could be more diagrammatically represented in charts and everywhere, but this could be different. That's why we go for that. So let me just explain this particular business process, or the flow and everything, and then I will go into creation of an actual business process. First up, you see steps over here, and you see a magnifying glass right next to it. If I click on the magnifying glass, it will go across to the values or more detailed version of each and every step, and the specific values for this particular step. Here it says workflow step, and if I want to have some detailed stuff over here, it goes across to the detailed menu. So we will get into the deep dives a little later. For now, just remember that if I click on that magnifying glass for that particular step, what is going to be the detailed action and other details, that is what this is going to come in. The notifications and everything, we'll deal with it a lot later on Monday, not today. I don't want you to get into that. Next, order. Order is going to be the order in which this particular business process is going to be executed. It can be alpha or numeric, or alpha numeric as well. Currently we maintain a standard which is going to be, say, from A to Z. Unless you have more than 26 steps in your business process, you can maintain it as A1, A2, AA1, AA2, A11, A22. However you want to maintain it, you can maintain it that way. Like I said, this order can be alpha or numeric, or alpha numeric, based on the way that you as a configurator want to have it. It's completely your domain, and you can have it the way that you want to have it. Clear on this? Next, if in my business process, when should this particular step trigger? That is what is decided by the if column over here. For example, I say a Workday account. Whom should a Workday account be created or edited? So here the action is editing a Workday account. You're going to obviously edit a Workday account only for a person who has a Workday account. Otherwise, I would typically go and create a new Workday account for him. So that is why this particular criteria has applicant. Here it doesn't say the employee, because the account has not been created yet. So it says the applicant. Applicant is the person whom you're going to hire right now, has already a Workday account in existence. If it is already available, I am only going to edit that account, probably make it active, because he could have been a rehire in this case. So when I'm going to rehire somebody, that particular person is going to retain the old employee credentials that he had at the time of termination. The same thing is what is going to be happening over here. And here I'm going to edit that particular person's Workday account. That is the employee ID. I'm going to make it as activated, or I'm going to reactivate it. And the same credentials are going to be done over here. Next thing, pay group assignment. So what exactly a pay group assignment does at a high level, I'll tell you what exactly pay group assignment, but we'll get into the deep dive of it in the next subsequent sessions. Pay group is something like a person is going to be part of which, is he going to be paid monthly, is he going to be paid bi-weekly, or is he going to be paid, what is going to be the pay frequency for him? That is what pay group is going to be ideally at. And it is going to be usually assigned at a country level. All right, and all these criteria that this person has given us. So only if I have a company assigned to this particular person can I assign a pay group. Otherwise, I cannot have any pay group. Just a simple criteria. I don't want you to get kind of confused with it. Just remember that if I have a company and all the assignments are there, only then I can assign a pay group for now. All right. That is what this if criteria comes in. And I can have different if criterias assigned for each and every step. That's number one. Number two, certain criterias you may see as workday owned. This one, for example, is showing as workday owned, and whereas these two over here, it does not have the suffix workday owned. So what does workday owned in any criteria mean? So whenever I'm going to add this particular action, Workday has certain checks and balances or default criterias which will be automatically added for specific actions or specific events which are going to happen in my business process. These are Workday delivered ones which will be automatically added whenever I'm mentioning this particular task. It will be automatically added and I cannot remove them at any point of a time because these are automatically added and there is no possibility for me to edit or remove this particular rule. This is added by Workday as a part of checks and balances for every single task which is there. Certain actions will have a specific rule, certain ones may not have it, and for those I may have to add them. All right, but this is all delivered by Workday. That's why it says Workday owned for this particular rule, which is delivered or which is added automatically when I mention the action is edit Workday account. Otherwise, if I'm going to have another action called as pay group, assign pay group, this is going to be a custom rule because it does not have any delivered rules for this. It is okay. I can have it without any rules over here as well. I can have an assignment of a pay group. That is no hard and fast rule for this. All right. Clear on what exactly the if criteria means? What does that if column mean? Any questions? All right. The next thing is going to be action or the type. So what is going to be the action or the event that needs to perform in this particular step? So I can have actions over here. I could have certain other stuff as well, like called as other business processes. I could have tasks. I could have integrations as well. So for example, say as a part of this, I've got my payroll assignment over here, and after hire, I may have to send across this particular detail to my external payroll vendor, say for example ADP. So in that case, the type could possibly look as integration, and here I could have an integration where it is going to send it across to ADP. Just a small example. So this could be like action, it could be like to do's, it could be something like another subtask, or I could say a task. I could have even other business processes triggered as a part of my type. Right. The next column is called as specify, which is nothing but what is the type of action that I need to have over here. If I have an action over here, what is the action that I need to do? If I have an integration over here, what is the integration that I need to call over here? And if I have something like a to do, I can have it as a to do type or an action type. What is the type of action? What is the action that I specifically need to perform over here? All right, next, step label override. Well, this is nothing but a label override. Here it says propose compensation higher, but if I have something like a step label override, it is just that when this particular task is going to be sent across to the specific user, it will not show as propose compensation higher, it will show as remuneration. It is just a label override of this particular task only. That's it, nothing else. Just a label, whatever the label you see here, propose compensation higher. When this task goes across to the specific user, It will not show as in the inbox item, or in the notification that particular person is going to get. It will not show as proposed compensation here. It will instead show as remuneration. That's it. All right. Next, optional. It means whether this particular step is optional or has to be mandatorily completed. For example, this particular step is shown as yes for optional. It doesn't show yes for mandatory. It shows yes for optional. Just have to note that this is optional field and not mandatory field. When it is set up as no, it means this step cannot be skipped. Say for example, this particular step, which is called assignment of a pay group, when it comes across to the payroll admin, the payroll admin does have the option to skip this particular step. It is not a mandatory task. Whereas this one, assign UK payroll ID, this has been set up as no for optional, which means this is mandatory. The particular payroll admin cannot skip this particular task or this particular step. It cannot be skipped. It is mandatory, whereas assignment of a pay group is optional and cannot be skipped at any point of a time. Clear? Next, we have group. Group in a simple term is nothing but the user who's going to be performing this particular task. For example, number one, we have something like propose compensation hire. This task is going to be done by compensation partner. The next task, edit Workday account, is going to be done by security admin. Third task, assignment of a pay group, is going to be done by a payroll admin. This one, assign UK payroll ID, is going to be done by either of these three. For example, I have a payroll admin UK, and a payroll partner. This particular task of assigning a UK payroll ID can be done by either of these, not all of these. It can be done by either of these. For example, if Aryan is the payroll admin of this particular organization, and say Getika is the payroll admin UK of this particular organization, and say Nishant is going to be the payroll partner, then either Aryan, Getika, or Nishant can do this particular task in the capacity as payroll admin, admin UK, or payroll partner. It can be done by either of them, not all of them. It is not necessary for all of them to do it, either of them. So if one of them is going to complete this particular task, it is not necessary for the next person to do it. So it's only going to be either of them. Next, we have something like onboarding. This is the responsibility of either the manager or the HR partner supervisory. It is the responsibility of either the manager or the HR partner supervisory. Either of them can complete this particular task. It is not necessary for all of them to do it or both of them to do it. It is just either the manager or the HR partner supervisory to do it. Clear on this? Any questions? And again, the last one, create change benefits event. It is the responsibility of the benefits partner to be doing this particular task. Any questions so far on all these fields, how this is all done? Any questions over here? All right. The next thing that we have over here is called as due day. Due day is just I would say it is only for information sake only, or for admin or reporting purposes only. Say for example, this particular task, I have set up a due day as 1 day, which means the proposed compensation hire should be completed by the compensation partner within 1 day, and it is just an organization mandated one. And Workday, for your information, does not mandate it from the business process standpoint. Even if this particular task is not completed within a day, There is not going to be any kind of an issue or alert which is going to happen by default. By default, it does not throw up an error alert notification to the compensation partner. Hey, look, you have to complete this within a day, but you haven't done it. It is not available by default. However, if you want to enforce it, you can possibly enforce it, but this is just for information sake only for the relevant person to complete it in a day. Clear on this so far? Any questions here? Are you all with me actually, because it's been quite silent for the last 10-15 minutes? All right, now let's see next. I will just take you across to editing this. So this is just a simple definition that I have. And let me go across to editing this particular definition. I go to related actions and I say edit. And as always, the effective date, I'm just giving it as today's date. And I'm hitting OK over here. All right. So first and foremost here, the effective date, whatever is the effective date that I currently have. Time zone, it automatically comes in from the system date. Next, rule-based workflow definition name. Park your question for now. We'll come to that a little later. Next, and notes. This is very, very important, at least from my side of things. I maintain a detailed notes over here for any change that I make over here, which means if I'm going to say that this particular definition was created by me on 15th of September, I would say created by Aryan on 15/9. Next, say for example on 29, I'm going to make a change over here. Say I'm going to say added an approval step by manager. This is something which I want you to all maintain clear notes and instructions over here in the notes column. This is going to be very, very useful if you want to track all of these changes in the future. If you want to track all your changes that you're doing, I would go here and directly look at this, because it will just help me refresh my memory about all the changes that I had done in the past. And also if there is some debugging that I need to do, I would just go in over here directly. Due date is going to be the actual due date for the entire business process. We saw the due date at a step level. This due date is at a entire business process level. And again, if I want this particular due date to be based on the effective date, which means the effective date of this particular business process, I can just have it over here. Enable autocomplete, just park it for now. There are certain actions which could be automatically completed, but for now, just leave it now. Next, I'm just going to have this particular steps over here. And if I want to make changes, I can make changes over here, right? Now, let me just go to this particular type. Like I said, this particular type, if I just click on this particular type for the step B, come on. Okay, I'm not able to change it over here. Some error in this. Oh, okay. So this doesn't allow me to make changes. I'll just open a new step. So in order to create a new step, I just click on plus over here. And if I say a new step, which is called as B1, and then I go to notes, I'm just going to say test Aryan. And I go to the type, which is a drop down. If you see over here, I have so many different types of actions or different types of events that I can do. Number one is action. Action is nothing but all of these that we saw over here. Propose a compensation hire, edit a Workday account. All these are delivered by Workday. So it's going to save a lot of time for me, and it's going to be easier as well. All right. So I'm going to say type is going to be action, means if I want to have any actions done over here. Next, approvals. If I want to have an approval, a single approval, if I want to have a single approval, then I'm going to say approval step. So for example, if I'm going to choose the step over here as approval, Since this particular definition is erroring out, it just goes me back again and kick me out. All right. So where did my step go? Okay, let me just add it over here again. So I'm going to say A1, and in the type, I'm going to say approval. If I'm going to say approval, it means it needs to be approved. This particular step, which is going to come in as A1, is going to be coming in as approval. And the person who needs to approve it, for example, let me just put it as manager. I'm going to say this particular step is going to be approved by a manager. Next, I'm going to say that this due date, for example, probably the manager has to approve it within a day. Just come to the drop down and I'm going to say 1 day. That's all. Clear? And I say okay. And the moment I say okay, because I've given this particular step as A1, this is going to come in right between steps A and B because it is given as A1. Let's see how it comes in now. Oh my God. Group 9 column. Okay, they made some changes over here. Okay. Just removing that particular step which is errored out for simplification. All right. So if you see, this is the new step which I added. In order to add it, I went into the related actions of this particular business process. Business process, edit, definition. So when I edit that particular definition, it comes over here and this particular step is going to be available. So as soon as the hire is going to be initiated, for say example, if I'm going to be hiring Aryan, it is going to be initiated first, and immediately after that, it is going to go across to the approval of the manager in that particular supervisory organization. That is the way this works. It's just a simple approval, and like I said, I gave it as A1. If I give it as A1, it's going to come in right between A and B. If I'm going to give it as something like E1, it's going to come in right between E and F. So this is the ordering that Workday follows. Clear on this? Any questions here on how this works typically? Definitely you can change the ordering. You can change the ordering the way that you want to have. But again, there are certain actions which can be done only at specific places. So that is the only thing that you need to note down, because I cannot perform or onboarding right at the start. Unless and otherwise I have certain things created, something like a Workday account created, I cannot have my onboarding done, right? So that is not possible. Say for example, this one. Let me put this as A. Yeah, I'm just putting it as A2. So the Workday edit Workday account, I'm just putting it as A2. So it's going to come one step above. I'm just pushing it back or pushing it to the top.
Got it.
So this step has now become A2. Edit Workday account is A2. Ignore the errors for now. So first it's going to be initiated, then it's going to go across for an approval by the managers. Next, it's going to go across for editing the Workday account, which is going to be done by the security admin. And I think everybody will remember how this particular value is going to come in. So I go across to a supervisory organization. For example, let's say when we went into supervisory organization, I'm going to have roles over here. So because I'm going to be hiring somebody at a supervisory organization level, all of these roles that you see over here, let me say I'm going to pick manager and security admin right now. So I have manager. Oh, you have so many managers. Okay, so first I'm just going to pick manager. Next, I'm going to pick security admin. Ooh, we don't have that security admin assigned over here. Let me pick another role because it's assigned at multiple places over here. All right, let me pick compensation partner and payroll admin because it could be assigned at different places. Security admin, compensation partner. Let me pick payroll admin. We don't have that. Okay, let's have just compensation partner and managers. All right. So first up, I have compensation partners assigned to Nathan and Lotte Backer. So this particular step, so I didn't realize that we are over time. All right. So first up, so when I say this particular proposed compensation hire, it needs to go across to the compensation partner. So in my supervisory organization, when I'm going to be hiring somebody at a technology consulting any supervisory organization, this step will go across to the compensation partners Lotte Backer and Nathan Moore, because it is assigned at the supervisory organization level, and these are the people to whom this particular step, which is proposed compensation hire, is going to be triggered to. Next, if there is some action for a manager, it will go across to Jamie Stone, because she is the manager assigned to this. Right. And again, have to go back again to all the inheritance concept and assignment concepts which we went through last week. Now, all of this, does it tie down together? Are we clear on this? How this works? And again, the payroll partner, I believe it's going to be assigned at a location level or some other level as well. So it's going to be assigned at a different level, maybe not at a supervisory org level. Now, are we clear on whatever we've discussed so far? Is it clear? Are you clear on this? Because today we're not going to have much of activities, because I have just covered only the introductions. On Monday, we'll be revisiting this, going deep dive. We'll be creating a definition by ourselves, and we'll be going through rule-based definitions and everything as well. So just a trivia for you. So if I just go over here, and by the way, BP is going to be your prefix for business process, and I see hire over here. If I say hire, you will see hundreds of definitions, because this is a training tenant. You may see hundreds of definitions created over here. All right. And which of these is going to be applicable for technology consulting? Any guess? Or how that is actually going to be defined at? Because I have multiple stuff or multiple definitions created over here. How on earth is this going to be actually saying that this particular higher definition is going to be applicable for technology consulting in a supervisory org? Any guesses? Any guesses? Similar to what we saw yesterday. All right. So we saw eligibility rules over there, right? Similarly, here we have something called as business process rules. I'll only show that and then we'll wrap it up. We have something called as rule-based business process configuration. Let me just open this particular stuff. So here I may have multiple rules written over here, where I'm going to say which is the rule-based business process workflow definition, which I'm going to choose based on the rule that I've created, similar to the eligibility rule concept that we discussed. Similar, not the same, it's just similar. So for the location USA, for a hiring which is going to happen for a location which is USA, and these are the locations, probably they've used a location hierarchy over here for Arlington, Dallas, and Tampa. I'm going to be using location DG, the higher location, higher definition, which is going to have a prefix called as location DG. For a similar one, which I'm going to create, I would say for the technology consulting NA supervisory organization, I'm going to be using another definition. That's all. Clear on this? Share the deck with you today, because what we saw is only a very minor concept. I'll try to share this particular deck with you. That's why I'm saying, once you actually look at a real business process, try to understand this, what we have seen today. That will help you out, but I'll try to share this particular deck with you as well.